It's not what I ordered.
Take those trees and burn them down now. Just
Take those
burn
trees
them.
and fucking burn them. Just burn them. And, he wants his bookshelves to be the right type of mahogany.
Yeah, you can't blame him. He's
I know.
a man of taste.
He knows what he wants. Dusty knows what he wants. He's covered the bookshelf in little blue tape squares with all the mistakes, all the chunks of wood that have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna.
That's the way you visualized it, at least. I think that's fair enough, man. I think that's fair enough. All right, so there we go. We're live.
We're live. I see some questions I really like already. But
Yeah.
I know that are we committed to YouTube questions, or
We're not.
are we just?
We're not committed to them. I think if we have time, we should. But I know you and I were both on our own adventures this week, and you had quite an adventure. I went to Columbus, which was 3 hours drive away, so not quite as far as you went. And I unfortunately, Dusty isn't with us today.
We got to let people know.
Yeah. Tell them about that, and then tell me about Dubai.
Okay, well, Dusty's not here today. Like I just said before we went live, I'll have to repeat it. I went and wasted a good joke, Scott. But Dusty is not here. He has a issue with one of his contractors.
Yeah.
And he has to deal with a construction situation. I think it's obviously, like I said, they may have used the wrong type of mahogany for his study. And he's very upset about that. And he's making the change it immediately. So he's dealing with, very, very first world problems.
Yeah.
And he will not be joining us.
Yeah.
So
no, he's not. And
he's not dead again.
Yeah, not dead again.
Not dead again. Yes. There you go. But we're going to try to entertain you. We only got an hour.
Yes.
But we're on it. So, I see. First negative 10-minute crew. So he's the pre-recording 10-minute crew. We had a few people in. They were good.
That's good.
Yeah. Good to see you, Lucas. Good to be a degenerate. There you go. I love it.
So you guys went to, what was it exactly?
We went to the Dubai Muscle Show. Yeah. So I went to Dubai. I think it was 2018 or 19. I can't even remember. And
best time of your life, right?
It was the worst trip I've ever been on because I was super sick the whole time. So I was hoping this trip would be a good redo of my previous Dubai experience. Way better. Wasn't sick, and the only thing is it's such a quick turnaround, man. That's a lot. I was there for, it's 23 hours travel time to get there.
Wow.
From Vancouver to Frankfurt's 9.5 hours, and then Frankfurt to Dubai is like 6.5 or something.
Yeah.
And, with a layover and everything. So I got to Dubai Thursday at midnight. I got to the hotel.
Okay.
Straight to bed. I had like whey and water and went straight to bed. And next morning we were straight to the Expo. Boom. Up, breakfast, go to the Expo. Day one. Boom. Just right in your face. No warm up, nothing.
Yeah.
And it went great. Day one was pretty slow because it's kind of like almost like a B2B day, like almost like it's all distributors and it's not as many fans on Friday because, a lot of people are working and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So Friday was a little slow at the Expo, but it was still good business. I talked to the sales guys and they're like, oh, it was awesome. But we were kind of like, the booths were kind of quiet.
Yeah.
And then Dusty and I went and trained on Friday night, went and got a workout in.
Nice.
And, rammed some food, tried to catch up. And then again, Saturday, all day Expo. And it was busy Saturday. That was like, typical Expo, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Shaking lots of hands, lots of pictures, that sort of thing. And very happy to see that we had viewers, like people coming up saying, I watched a show. Like we look at you look at the stats more than we do. So you see like, England and America are like our, number 1 and 2 locations.
Yeah.
Canada's our number, 3 or 4 in there.
Usually Canada is number 3. UK was, battling with, for 2 and 3 with Canada, but UK's pulled through, pretty solid now with a solid second. So
I know. So we're kind of used to that. Yeah. And then you go over there and, I'm meeting people from people from Pakistan that watch a
Oh
show,
my God.
and India that watch a show, and you
That's
just
so
start to
cool.
go, wow, like, okay, it's this really reaching,
Yeah.
because you see the numbers on YouTube, and it's a very small percentage of our viewers. So you're like, oh, am I ever going to run into any of those people?
Right, right.
Right? Yeah, and then here you go, there they are, boom. I watch a show, I love the show, you guys are funny, blah blah blah. Where's Scott? Like some stuff like that. So it was pretty cool, and just sort of a reminder of like how small the planet is getting,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
And
mind blowing, man. Because that was my
yeah,
biggest question was like, were there people there that listened to the podcast? Which that's cool, man. That makes my day actually to hear that. I mean, because like you said,
yeah,
I see the numbers, but it's different to actually meet people, you know?
yeah. Like, a guy from Oman says like, oh, I love your show. I watch it all the time.
That's so
I
cool.
listen to it on my way to the gym and that sort of shit. So just pretty cool, man. And like another one was a guy from Palestine.
Okay.
Like when we think of Palestine, like we think like, most of the people in Palestine, do they have internet? Like,
Yeah.
It's pretty rough to live there, right? And this guy's like, oh, I watch your show, listen to your show, and I'm just like, man, this is fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah.
people that have like,
Oh, looks like
Yeah, but-
I lost Ron for a minute. Ron,
No,
did you go off your mic? Did you touch something?
no.
Oh, well,
You
I
lose my
lost your
sound?
mic. Yeah, I lost your sound. If you can't reconnect, we could always just have you hang up and call back. That
Yeah,
would
I'll
work,
just come
too.
back in just a second here.
All right. I'm going to entertain you guys for a minute while Ron figures that out. This happens from time to time when we record. I mean, sometimes we don't edit it out, but sometimes we do. But yeah, anyway, let's see. We got Ron back here. There you go.
Got my sound again?
Yes. So you were saying, yeah, like Palestine. I'd be curious to see what some of these guys' gyms looked like. Like, where are they training? What are those gyms? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know that's cool.
How different is it?
I met a guy from Africa. Damn, I can't remember the name of the island, but he lives on an island off the coast of Africa.
Wow.
And I meant to, I committed it to memory, and now
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it.
Ah.
But I just want to say hi to all those people that came and chatted with us. It was pretty awesome. And then Saturday night we went to like a team dinner at the Dubai Mall.
Yeah.
And for those of you who want to know what the Dubai Mall is like, it's like the craziest mall I've ever seen in my life. And I grew up near West Edmonton Mall, which was for a long time the biggest mall in the world. Had a water park in it and an ice rink and all that crazy shit. So it was like the biggest mall in the world. And this mall is, 40 years more advanced than that one was, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, they had a giant ice rink and like I said, the biggest aquarium I've ever seen inside.
You're kidding me. I
a
love
building.
those things, man.
Yeah. Well, I posted it to my story and people were like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know, was it a 1,000,000-gallon tank? Like just
Whew.
fucking crazy, like the size of our gym.
Yeah.
Like the tank is the size of the gym,
That is mind blowing, man.
Yeah. And full of sharks and all types of fish and just crazy to, people standing there just watching it for hours. So
Yeah.
we're sitting at the Cheesecake Factory eating. And
Yeah.
there's like the biggest aquarium ever just right there outside of the restaurant. It's amazing.
That's so
So
cool.
it was cool. And then another thing that was neat was, I don't know if it's because it's so hot during the day or if it's just a cultural thing, but like the mall at night is packed till midnight.
Really? Till
Like
midnight?
we finished eating at 11 p.m. and
Yeah.
we're walking around the mall and it's just packed.
Huh.
Like families skating together. Like the skating rink was full of people just skating in circles, like, just out for family skates. And
Wow.
all the restaurants were jammed. We had to wait for a table and I think it's just the nightlife there. And that might be because daytime's just kind of a little rough outside if you're trying to go doing stuff, but it was pretty cool. And then of course another Expo day Sunday, Dusty and I went and trained that night, and then 11 p.m. Sunday head to the airport.
So that was a quick trip then. Really quick trip.
Yeah. So basically was there for 72 hours.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's a long trip to
You
go.
got 2
72
workouts
hours.
in. You met about like a zillion people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You got to go to the mall.
Yeah.
That sounds like a pretty good 72 hours,
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was rammed full, Of course, hanging out with Jamie the Giant and Ashkin, our guy from Sweden, was there, and he's cool to have around because he knows everybody. he used to work for a really big distributor in Sweden for years.
Okay.
So he knows all the supplement company guys, and he knows all the, you know what I mean? That whole like culture of people. He knows everybody because he was, selling everybody supplements for a long time.
Okay.
So, he's very ingrained in the industry, and so he's fun to have around, and yeah, it was a good time. So I'm happy to be back. I was very jet lagged.
I bet, man. That's a long flight.
I was lying to myself like, oh, I'm fine. I slept on the plane, but then I'd be like, I got up at 8:30 in the morning yesterday. I was like, oh, I'm back on clock, right?
Right.
But then I'd be working on my phone, and I would literally just
start nodding out right there.
And like I woke up, so twice yesterday, I nodded off and quickly woke up, and my phone was on the ground. Like I dropped it, and fallen asleep and dropped it. So it was kind of a funny day, but I feel like I'm a little bit back to normal now.
That's cool. So I got to ask you some questions, couple questions, and I don't see somebody else had asked. Okay, yeah, here we go. It was JRow 55 said, how is the bodybuilding fitness 5 in Dubai compared to the US? And what was I'm going to add on to that too. What was it like at the Expo compared to a US Expo?
Well, I mean, the fitness industry there technically is exploding.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's a huge growth market, so it's getting a lot bigger. But there was, you see a lot of bodybuilders. It's just like anywhere. I mean, I don't know what percentage to like rate it as far as like, how many bodybuilders we saw and stuff, but you see, I noticed the competition had like an insane number of men's physique guys in the competition, because our booth was right next to the stage. So behind our booth was the kind of the tunnel for the athletes to go to the stage.
Okay. Yeah.
Like they had it kind of fenced off.
Right.
So every time they'd bring new weight classes back there, the little holding area was right behind our booth.
Okay.
So every once in a while I'd look behind the booth to see like, oh, who's going up next?
Yeah.
And, it's the bodybuilders. I'm like, oh yeah, some fucking good bodybuilders. Like a lot of guys that are jacked,
Yeah.
And then the classic guys, when they were doing all the classic guys, I was like, oh, these classes are big, like 20 guys in each class. That's sort of
good.
Thing.
That's great.
And then the men's physique guys, it was like the last day on Sunday they did those guys.
Yeah.
And I looked behind the booth a few times, and there was just like a fucking massive group of guys back there. I was like, how big are these classes?
Yeah.
So, and of course, like all the other classes were big too. There was a lot of competitors. I talked to one bikini competitor from Liverpool, who lives there now. And she's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I think she got like 5th in her class or something. And I go, oh, how many people? And she's like, oh, there's 30 girls in my class.
Dang.
And I'm like, oh,
that's like like Team Universe level of people.
Yeah. It was very, very, very big show for them. So yeah, it went good. It was a fun trip, man.
That's cool. And then what about the gyms?
Yeah. So we went and trained at Vinus twice.
Okay.
And, the gym you see on Instagram a lot with the Captain America plates.
Yeah.
You see Sergio training there, and Andrew Jack training there, and like all those guys, So we went and trained there, and that was interesting. It's they have a great setup. They got these giant screens inside showing bodybuilding videos, and
nice.
They got a ton of equipment, like 20 leg presses. It's one of those big super gyms. It's probably 30,000 square feet, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking maybe more. Like, I don't know what the square footage is. It's just huge. Several big rooms all connected. You could train there for a week and not see your friend.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you been here? Like there was people there that we didn't run into. Like they messaged me after. They're like, you guys were there tonight? I'm like,
no
yeah,
kidding.
we were there for like 2 hours.
Wow. Are the machines the same, or are there different brands there that we don't have? How does that work?
I saw a couple brands that I haven't seen in North America yet, but I've already seen them at like the expos, and I've seen them at, like, they have their, I've seen the brands at the have their booth at the expo and stuff. So, but yeah, all the same stuff. Like, there'll be the Hammer Strength, and they had Prime, and they had all, but they also had a few brands that I hadn't heard of yet, but they, it was interesting. We tried some new stuff, but
yeah.
The only, I don't like to gripe about anything, but the only gripe I had about that gym was there's no weight trees.
Okay.
And I really like weight trees,
huh?
Because they're just good for organization, and there's no weight trees. So all the plates were just kind of like on all the storage pegs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And of course, if you do that, you can't really organize them. So there'd be like a 5-pounder, and then a 45-pounder,
right?
And then a 25-pounder. and then a 2.5 pounder, and then a 35 pound. So there's a little bit of that, right? If that bothers you, then it's a little hard. I imagine training legs would probably be difficult because you'd have to kind of hunt for plates and stuff.
Right.
But
dig through.
yeah. But I mean, they seem to get by. No one else seemed to care. I'm a real weight tree guy. I like my weight trees.
Yeah,
You know?
I can hear that. I got rid of mine, man. I had a weight tree when this gym closed down during the pandemic, and the guy was like, you know what, I was going to close anyway. He was like, so I'm just going to get rid of my stuff now, and that's where I bought my leg press, my hack squat, and my hammer strength rack. Got it all from the same guy. He gave me a good deal to buy it all, and I was like, you know what, I'll take that weight tree too. And I got everything in the basement. And it's just too much. It's like I don't have enough room. I was like, something's got to go.
Don't need
you know what I mean? Yeah.
You don't need it. You can keep your plate straight.
Yep.
But yeah, I know what you mean. And also, the people there don't put their dumbbells away.
Ooh, well,
The dumbbell.
if you
dumbbell
ran the
rack
place, Ron, it would change and give them a week.
I would be camping by that rack.
Yeah.
Fucking telling people, that was
Yeah.
something we were really big on when we opened the gym. We policed the shit out of the rack for the first while just to make sure everybody was on board.
Yeah.
And then once you get like your foundation members really on board with keeping the rack straight,
Yeah,
it's
everybody
like,
does,
sets
doesn't
the
it?
tone.
Yeah.
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 Every once in a while I come into the gym and there's some dumbbells out of place, but our staff always checks it and they always make sure it's organized. And
Yeah.
I'll go up to people and go, hey, those 40s don't go there. And
Will
they'll
you?
go, oh, you put them where the 35s go. They go one over. Like, make sure you don't I'll tell people that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good though. Great trip. Always thankful to come home.
Sure.
Just because home's so comfortable. Like there's, I like being on the road, but a hotel is a hotel. It's just not the same as coming home to your own cup of coffee. I miss my coffee mug.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. It's nice to wake up in your own bed. You got Jedi there, your girl's there if she's at home still.
Chick here too.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
people,
we went out of town this weekend. It was Swiss, now Swiss, are you familiar with Swiss?
Yeah, the that's like that strength and conditioning
big legs,
all the
big
experts
seminar.
have.
Yes.
Yeah, big summit.
Yeah. So Victoria was speaking in that. And
I don't get invited to summits.
You'd be great at it, man. We just have to find a topic for you. I'll get you in if you want to go.
Okay. Get me in. I'll do my little TED talk if you get me into a summit.
There you go. So I got to hear, of course, Victoria. I heard Eric Serrano talking. I had never met Eric before. That's, do you know Dr. Eric Serrano? He was John Meadows' doctor.
He's John's doctor, yeah.
Yeah. So I got to meet him, and Victoria's good friends with him. So I had like that instant in. And I heard Stan Efferding did a talk. A whole bunch of people, man. It was crazy. Rick Collins was there talking about steroids and law. And then I met Dave Tate. I had never met Dave Tate before.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So I met Dave. And then after it was over, he was having a barbecue out at Elite. So I got to go visit the compound for the first time. I'd never been to Elite before.
Oh, nice.
Dude, that gym is like mind-blowing. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the equipment, but like every handle, every band, everything you could possibly want in a gym. Literally that entire place had bars against the wall, just lined all the way down. It was crazy.
Yeah, I haven't been to that compound yet. I was at the location before he moved.
Yeah, the original one.
I think that was actually S4.
Oh, was it? I thought that was that's the only other one I knew.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there were a few smaller locations before that main one that we remember with him and John training together.
Okay. Yeah.
And I believe that was called S4, and now the new one is called S5.
Okay.
And,
it's nice, man.
Yeah. That's the big money spend. I think the fancy place Dave always wanted.
Yeah. It's cool. It's definitely fancy. There's that, man. They even had, so what really like confused me almost, and I didn't ask him about this, when you go in the bathroom, first of all, there's a sign when you go to walk back out into the gym, and the sign says something like, some of the strongest humans in the world have trained here.
Yeah.
Train hard, something like that. And I saw that and I was like, whoo, that gives you chills. But if you look in the bathroom, they have individually wrapped in plastic, toilet paper. All right. So they've got like their little roll of toilet paper, and it's in a little plastic covering that says Elite FTS and has their logo on it. Why do they have toilet paper with their logo on it, Ron? You own a gym. Answer this for me.
I think it's a power lifter thing. Shitting, they take shitting
Yeah.
very seriously.
Okay.
I think they're like power lifters. They eat a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I think maybe they're eating a little bit messier.
Yeah.
So there's maybe a little bit worse of a shitting experience going on in there. I think they're not having those healthy bodybuilder fiber shits. They're having those McDonald's drive-through powerlifter shits
With
maybe
a case of beer, Yeah.
Yeah, we should have Dave on, and he can explain the
toilet paper. Yeah.
It's like, hey, there's 3 things you need in life. You need a coffee mug, you need a hat, and you need toilet paper. Maybe that's why he's branding the things he's branding.
Maybe it is, man. It was cool though. And then Skip and I did a live podcast at like we decided to do it at like 11 o'clock at night, and we set it up in the lobby at Swiss. Like after everything was finished, there was like this after hours party. So we set up just outside of that. We got Ed Cohen to join in for a minute. We got a bunch of different presenters to stop in. Everybody was getting drunk. So we had a good time, getting people to pop in. So we had fun, man. Skip was there. Skip, I didn't mention that. Skip was there. We had a good time. We both learned a lot too.
Ah, damn. That sounds like something I might want to go to next year.
I'll keep you posted when it's coming up next time around, man. It was good. It was good.
I see someone asked, they said, did you see anybody with their shoes off in the gym? No, not a single person. There were like 200 people in the gym that night.
Yeah.
And I kept my eye peeled. I didn't even see a single pair of flip-flops.
Okay.
But they do have a bunch of boxing rings in one area. So I'm not sure if they let people. I know boxers typically wear shoes. Yeah. I know boxers wear those lace, those like almost like those, those real flat bottom like shoes that boxers wear. So maybe they all wear those. I don't know. I didn't see anybody in the rings.
Yeah.
But I did have my eyes peeled for people that didn't have shoes on,
So what was your highlight of the trip? If you had to pick like one aspect of it.
Highlight. Probably just training with Dusty at the gym. Yeah. Just because Dusty and I have so much fun when we train. And you're doing road workouts, so you're just trying new machines and having fun, and you're not like, not putting too much pressure on yourself. And we're both retired, so we're able to train real hard, but also like enjoy just being out at the gym. And it's not like oh god, I have to hack squat 6 plates for 12 today, or I'm gonna die. Like it's not like any of that pressure. You just go in and let's just have fun on. Oh, let's try this machine. I don't know how much to put on it. Yeah. Yeah. And you blast out it. You accidentally get 20 reps on something. You're like, oh, it was a little light, but that counts as a set,
Right.
So we just had a lot of fun, just, it was cool. Like the Sunday night when we trained, we were kind of in a hurry because we wanted to work out, and then we had to go shower and go straight to the airport Sunday night. Right.
Oh yeah.
So we're training, and like, Dorian is right beside us training a couple guys and gals filming, so we just kind of like, Dorian kind of looks at me, gives me a nod, I'm like, hey, I didn't want to, he's training guys that are paying for his time. Right. So just, I didn't get a picture or say hi or chat with him or anything, but we just kind of, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And, you see a bunch of other guys around the gym, just giving nods to people. Like Victor was there training.
Okay.
Just walking around, he was just training by himself. Just looked like he was just having like a pump because he's retired now, but fuck, does he look good?
Oh yeah.
And Dexter Jackson, I talked to Dexter for quite a while because his booth was right across from ours.
Really?
And I've known Dexter for a long, long time too. So we chatted, and I said, what do you weigh? And he goes, I'm 205.
No kidding.
He looks fantastic.
I bet he does.
He looks like, just really tiny. Like his waist is like this big.
Yeah.
And he still has like just incredible arms hanging out of his t-shirt.
I bet his blood work is great too. You know what I'm saying? Like I bet he's just healthy.
The only reason that he's in his, how old is he actually now? 50 something?
Easy. Yeah.
He looks like he's like 40, except he's got a gray beard.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just funny. He looks great.
That'd be cool if we could get him on at some point. If he'd hang with us, that'd be cool.
Yeah. He will. He'll come on.
We should do that. We should do that.
We'll have to get Dexter. He said now he's just all about the grandkids. He said like
Yeah.
that's all he cares about is the grandkids. That's
Yeah.
like his whole day revolves around the grandkids. So it's kind of interesting just to hear Dexter talk about, life after bodybuilding a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
What about
you
now?
know,
Lucas says, what happens in Dubai stays in Dubai, Ron. Any spicy stories?
no spice when you're in the, you don't do anything even questionably,
I'm glad you
when
made
you're
it
in the,
back.
yeah, when you're in the Middle East, you don't go like, trying to do any funny business,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
you
All
just,
right.
you just, mind your business, stay in line, don't get in trouble,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, what do you say we take some of these questions? Like there is a
Yeah,
bunch
that's
of them,
awesome.
man.
I don't know if you've seen any. I've been talking the whole
All
time. So
right. I mean, I missed them too, but I've got them all here so I can go back through them.
yeah.
And I favorited a few because, okay, here's a great place to start. Since Dusty isn't with us, the spawn of Steve hits us with an overrated, underrated Halloween.
Well, here's what I'm going to say about Halloween. Nowadays, it's
Underrated or
underrated.
over? Oh, okay. It's
It's
underrated?
underrated now.
Yeah, I'm going with underrated.
And I will admit, I'm terrible. I never dress up.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's always October 27th,
When you,
and I'm
when you
like,
start thinking about it.
whatever. Fuck it. I'll dress up next year.
Yeah.
But I remember how much fun Halloween was when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'd say it's underrated now. I wish we put a little bit more fun into it. Like I admired it was great. I got home on Monday, right? I landed at 2 p.m. So 2 in the afternoon, I got off the plane. And I thought, okay, if I go to bed, I'm just going to be even more fucked up.
Yeah.
So I made myself stay up and I made myself go train.
Okay. Good move,
So
man.
So I went to the gym at 5. I met up with Braden. We had a workout and there was some people training in costumes.
Oh, yeah?
And I thought, you people are awesome. Like, I wish I had a little bit more like participation when it came to Halloween, but I really like seeing it. We had some
Yeah.
staff members dress up, like that sort of stuff. It's really fun. And I think it's underrated now. And I'd say that I'm part of the bad team that causes it to be underrated because I don't take part.
So
It's one of those things.
out here, so this is Victoria's first Halloween in the U.S.
Right.
And we wanted to walk. We always walk the dogs twice a day. Once in the morning, usually around 9 a.m., and then once again in the evening when we're both done with our work. So we said, hey, let's try to walk the dogs a little bit early tonight, before the sun goes down. That way we miss the trick-or-treaters. We're not trying to walk down the sidewalks with them. And guess what? They'd already started. And it was, so here, people, they make it almost like a tailgating party. You have like people are pulling up like fire pits in their front yard, putting little tents up. They've got like music playing at their house, people sitting around, talking about everybody's costumes of the kids as they come up. Parents are drinking beers and all that. Everybody's like doing something, having fun. And Victoria said, that's not the way Halloween is in Canada. She was like, I've never seen anything like this. And the whole leading up to Halloween, I was like, hey, we want to put out any decorations? She's like, I don't really like, I don't care about Halloween. She wanted to put out like the fall spread with the pumpkins and the fall looking stuff. And she's like, but she wasn't into Halloween. And then people are putting up decorations through the neighborhood. And she's like, people are really into Halloween. And then once she saw it, she was like, this is really cool. This is like, it's like a block party, basically.
Yeah.
So she enjoyed that. And I think that now she thinks that, I think to her it was overrated, and now for her it's underrated as well. That'd be my guess.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. That was a good one.
All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Ron, did you finish your Iron Maiden binge?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I listened to I think almost all their albums. I still have a few of the new albums I haven't listened to, but I really got like a heavy, deep dose of Iron Maiden, like at least 25 years worth of albums I listened to.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting. Very interesting. They're a fantastic band. They're not one of my like favorite bands ever or anything like that, but I just thought that I wanted to collect a little more like historical knowledge of metal.
Yeah.
And I felt like, can you really talk about music if you don't know Iron Maiden? It's one of those bands I thought I didn't really know all their stuff. Like I said, I knew their hits and their obvious stuff really well. And I've had lots of Iron Maiden on my playlists in the past, but it was always like the same, 15 songs.
Right.
And so it was just good to hear like the rest. They're unbelievable.
Yeah, they're a good band. We had several people when you talked about them on the last episode. Several people commented in. They're like, "Oh yeah, I love Iron Maiden." So you got some people excited.
There's the bass player Steve Harris.
Yeah,
he's the principal songwriter, which is very unusual. Like most bands, it's not the bass player,
right?
But Steve Harris is the one that writes these songs, and he writes them as a bass player. So the fact that I started playing some bass gave me a lot to. I was like, oh, these, because most of the time it's someone comes in with a song and then they figure out the bass to go with it and make and enhance the song.
Right.
Like what can the bass player do here to help to serve the song, right? Whereas Steve Harris writes these songs as a bass player, so the bass is very integral to Iron Maiden. It is the foundation of the melody and the rhythm, and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, almost like he's a lead player in a way. And so when you listen to Iron Maiden as a bass player with my new ear now that I appreciate a little more, I'm like, wow, this guy's fucking, this guy's got like the, one of those just, unbelievable levels of talent for creativity, and all this stuff comes out of this guy's head. This is crazy,
That's cool.
So yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's why one of the reasons why I wanted to listen to them was because I kind of realized all this as I was like going down my new little bass playing adventure. And I thought, fuck, I got to go back and appreciate these a little bit differently, see how they sound. So yeah.
All right. Have you guys,
how it is?
I do. Have you ever had a wife/significant other as a training partner? I've been training with my wife for the last month, and it's absolutely awesome. She trains hardcore.
I have never done that.
No?
In fact, Emily and I have been together 10 years. I think we did shoulders once in a hotel gym. Yeah. It's always just been like, it's just not been the thing. It's just not a thing that I usually do.
Yeah.
But I see other people doing it, and it's fucking working really great for them, and they love it, and it's their time together. And I see lots of people at the gym training with their husbands and wives, and they're, giving her, and it's goes well. But I have never really been that guy. But hey, if it works for you, I guess I've always spent a lot of time with my significant other, so the training time was like my time.
Yeah.
Whereas I see other people are busy, and maybe they have kids, and maybe they can only get out of the house together for an hour, and they go work out together, and it's like their time. So I guess that would change the dynamic,
Yeah. The closest we get is sometimes we will be in the gym training, in our gym's obviously the basement, at the same time. So she's doing her thing, I'm doing my thing. And then we finish up, more or less around the same time. And that's kind of cool. I enjoy that, getting to spend that time with her. We don't really talk, we're not like being social during it, but it's kind of cool,
Yeah. I still like when we happen to have a day where one of us isn't already at the gym, and we get to drive to the gym together.
That's cool. Yeah.
Train and then drive home together. Like that's almost feels like you spent some time together just because you shared the same training schedule for a day.
Yeah.
It seems to make it feel a little bit different. But she's always got so many clients, and I'm always in and out of the gym. It's like we never go at exactly the same time. I see her there all the time training, but you're not driving there together and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of the fun parts about a holiday is you go, okay, let's go work out, and you both go to Starbucks and you get your coffees and you drive to the gym, and you're like, that sort of thing. So it's fun.
One for me, I'm a fellow Michigander. Want to coach me, Scott? I would be happy to. That said, though, I don't coach people like, I work with people that live in Michigan, and I hardly see them in person, honestly. Like I still work with them online. That's where I do my best work. You know what I mean, Ron? I'm sure you have people that are probably living close to you, but you do have the gym. Do you have people that you don't see that you work with that are in that proximity?
Yeah. I have clients that train at my gym, and I hardly ever see them because they're morning guys or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still all about photos and check-ins and all that stuff. I mean, it's still online training.
Right.
And I make sure I tell them that, like, I'm training you online. It's great if I see you at the gym 5 weeks out, we can go have a quick look in the posing room so I can gauge what your pictures actually mean,
Yeah.
But, obviously if I'm training like 5, 6 people from my gym, I can't see everybody I can't just be running up to the posing room every time I run into somebody. I got stuff to do. It's like, you got to like kind of keep your schedules,
Absolutely.
set.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's very helpful if they're close. Obviously you can, that's one thing that seeing somebody in person doesn't necessarily make it easier to get them in shape. Like some of the best work I've ever done was people I've never met.
I know what you mean.
Right?
Yeah.
But seeing them in person, even once, helps you gauge what their photos really mean.
It does at times. It can be helpful. Yeah.
So your kitchen photos actually mean this.
Yeah.
And
especially if they're not great photos,
Yeah.
What else do we have here? We had a bunch of them. Do you guys recommend a fitness tracker? I've been using my Fitness Pal. You guys have any suggestions about Noom?
Noom. I don't know. Maybe that's
Noom?
I don't know what that means. I downloaded an app one time and I just couldn't get into bothering entering all the data, and I just don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care. I know what I'm eating.
Yeah.
That's not like after 30 years of using nice round numbers in my head and going, that's 50 carb, 50 carb, 50 carb. I've had 150 carbs.
Yep.
Like, and then you start using the tracker app and you're like, it's 47.5 carbs and that's 52.7 carbs and all of a sudden you got decimal points in your head. Fuck that.
It's still 150 carbs.
Yeah, I want nothing. Yeah. I want nothing to do with that sort of data. It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care.
Me too.
People message me all the time like, I burned 800 calories on the stepper. I'm like, says what?
Yeah.
Says the stepper? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything. That number means nothing to me. I don't even care to hear it.
Yeah, I hear you, man. That and when I see the people have their electronic body fat scales at home, and they're like, I went, I changed 0.5% this morning at our check-in. I'm like,
Yeah. So the one thing I will say about those scales is I have a natural client who has one of those scales, and she would send her, every check-in, I'd get photos, body weight, and her body fat percentage from the scale.
Right.
And I never asked for it. It was just always in the check-in.
Right.
But it did come down almost every single check-in.
Did it? Okay.
So, yeah. So it became sort of like, when you're using a broken scale that's like 4 pounds off.
It was consistent to itself.
It's consistently to itself.
Yeah.
And it dropped like some weeks should be, maybe she's 112.
Right.
At 12.5%. And then the next week she's still 112, but it says 11.9%.
Well, that sounds like that one worked out. I have never seen it that way. I've seen it where people use the scale that tells them their muscle mass and their like the in-body scale. And then they say like, hey, I lost 0.5 pound of muscle today, but they're just depleted. And it's like, no, you didn't, that.
Yeah, no, because
I would say
they
this.
could have just missed a dose of creatine and you'd have less muscle mass on the
right.
Yeah.
So I would say with the fitness apps like MyFitnessPal, if you just are getting started, it's a great way to start being more like cognizant of that stuff. But
absolutely,
the biggest mistake is people look at the total protein. They see, I'm getting 500 grams of protein, when in actuality, or I'm making that number up, but in actuality, the complete protein they're getting is far less. Like when you talk to Ron, do you figure the total protein in somebody's diet, or do you figure the actual the complete proteins? Like, do you figure the protein from oatmeal, for instance? I
never ever I monkey things right down to nothing. My diets are all done with round numbers.
Yep.
No decimal points, no single digits. It is 50 carbs, 50 protein servings.
Yeah.
Like very, very, very basic. That's why when people start using the apps, they start saying to me, well, you told me my protein was 250, but on my app, it's actually 262.
Yes.
And my answer is, I don't care.
Ooh.
Like don't jumble the numbers that are working. Like, look at let's just keep this simple, you know?
Yeah.
But so part of that is just because I'm so good at doing it my way that why would I change? Like, it works really well for me.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but the fitness apps are fantastic for people who are new and don't know these numbers, and they don't know how much carb is in the rice they're eating, and they don't understand how many trace grams of fat they're getting from different types of meat they're eating. And they're like, oh yeah, you're right, that does add up. You know, that's why you told me to have, you know, this cut of beef instead of that cut of beef, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so that stuff helps those people. I'm not saying they're useless. I'm just saying, for me, I prefer to just kind of avoid all that stuff.
Okay. So we're past Halloween here in the US. We're heading into Thanksgiving. You guys already had Thanksgiving, so the next thing is Christmas. What do you think? What's your opinion on Christmas music being played at the moment? Because it's already happening somewhere. I know it is.
Yeah. I'm not, I like walking into a store and hearing some Christmas music. You're like, here we go.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah.
I don't mind that. I'm not at all a Grinch.
Yeah.
I like Christmas. Christmas is great. You know, I hope that people can be really nice to each other this year. We had a couple of Christmases where people were a little bit fucked up. And it'd be good if we had like a return to like the real friendly, you know, say hi to your neighbor Christmas. And I'm hoping for a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I know I got to hear some Mariah Carey, or it's just not Christmas.
Yeah. Let's see.
Know? And we have a Christmas playlist for the gym. Like, there's a couple of Christmas metal albums.
Yeah.
You know, like assorted artists doing Christmas songs. And my favorite Christmas song of all time is Run, Run, Rudolph by Lemmy, Dave Grohl, and Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top.
Do you hear that one very often in the
I
stores?
play it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, no, I make sure it's on the gym playlist on Christmas. Like, Run, Run, Rudolph with Dave Grohl on the drums and Billy playing guitar and Lemmy on bass singing. Yeah. I make sure we play that one. That gets in heavy rotation.
Let's see here. Fuad's podcast, or two, he said he's sponsored by a TRT clinic, Merrick. He said he got like 40 vials of blood taken. What's the most you have taken, both of yous?
Oh, I don't know. When I get like, really extensive blood work done, like, normal blood work, they take several vials for my normal blood work.
Yeah.
But I did get like really extensive blood work done. One time I actually had a skin cancer on my back.
Oh, no kidding.
In 2013, I had some basal cell carcinomas, which is technically like the best kind of cancer to get if you're going to get skin cancer, because it's, pretty mild, and they just cut it out and put some cream on the spot for a while, and you should have it. But when I had that, they did do like, I remember they must have taken 10 or more vials of blood that time just to do a safety check. Everything came back completely fine. So they said, oh, you just happen to have these basal cells. So they just removed them, and, I was fine. But that would be the most blood work I ever had.
Yeah, I bet, man. I never look. Like, I don't count the vials. I just turn my head the other way. I don't want to see it. They do their thing. Yeah. And then when they're done, I'm like, okay, I breathe a sigh of relief,
Yeah.
Ron, have you ever finished a box of cereal? 364 grams at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've done some cereal binges.
It's not hard to do, It goes down easy.
No, that actually used to be a high carb day thing.
Yeah.
I would eat a box of cereal, like if I was dieting really hard.
Yeah.
And like my coach said, okay, let's do high carbs. Let's do this. I'd be like, oh, fuck, I'll plow a box of cereal.
Yeah.
What about... I ate a whole box of mini wheats one day.
Mini wheats. I'm trying to think. What, frosted mini wheats?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're like the big pieces, right?
Yeah. Like the big squares with the icing on them.
Yeah. Those are good.
I used to be able to eat a whole box of mini wheats.
You ever have Weetabix? It's like a UK thing. And they're like
shredded wheat.
Yeah, they're without the frosting on them.
Yeah. They had them in Australia too. Used to dump protein shake on those.
Ooh. Finn asked us any guidance on the mental side of aging, being okay with not training like you're 25, being okay with not going as heavy, etc.
I mean, yeah, I've had to go through some of that lately. Like there's lots of things I'm not going to do anymore because the risk to reward ratio is just ridiculously bad. You know, like, am I going to try to squat 4 plates for reps all the time now? No, I'm not going to squat 4 plates anymore. There's no need for me to do that. The last thing I want to do is get fucking hurt.
Yeah.
I got too much going on. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying being able to move around so much that I'm not going to do anything to get hurt. I'd rather train in the 20 rep range with lighter weights and just train really hard than risk any sort of injuries. Like I still train really hard on leg day. Like I'm going to absolute failure, but I'm keeping my reps up a lot higher than I used to. So
Yeah.
I'm not, you just have to, I got that use it or lose it mentality. And the last thing I want to do is get hurt and not be able to use it, and then
Yeah.
it's hard to get it back, you know,
Yeah.
the older you get, the harder it is to get back from an injury.
It is,
And,
man.
yeah, so you got to be really, aware that everything you do has a risk to it. And, I like to train to see another day now.
Yeah.
I think I put my time in. Taking risks in the gym, the 7-plate hack squats and all that sort of stuff. And I just, have no interest in that level of risk anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're okay with that. You're okay with not training the way you used to. I mean, I think it's an evolving thing. It's something I have to deal with too. I'm not a kid anymore. I think it's important to be able to reframe stuff. At the end of the day, you know what? I didn't start training because I absolutely loved pressing the 125-pound dumbbells. Like that wasn't the reason. I loved training because I loved the experience, and I can have a really good experience in another way. So I think if I want to keep training in my life and I'm going to keep staying healthy and not getting hurt, that helps me to keep it in my life. I'm going to figure out what I can do to keep it there,
Yeah. Yeah. And it does help that, I've put a lot of work into trying to look good. Like, and I don't mean like for other people. I just mean for me. Like I want to look good. I want to get up in the mirror and go, fuck, I'm really lean. Like I'm staying nice and lean. And
you really
what
are
I mean?
too.
And it does help. Like obviously we don't do this for other people, but it does help when your peers, people like obviously normal people are going to think, oh, you look great. But when your peers say like, man, you look really healthy.
Yeah.
And you look great. Like, I hope I look like you when I'm, totally done this bullshit.
Yeah.
And when you hear that, you're like, okay, that's awesome. Like, I know I'm doing something right. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because, we all see people that retire from bodybuilding and some of them stay in great shape. Some of them don't, some of them still have the off season look, but they're just smaller.
Yeah.
Another guy, like, I don't want that. I don't want to be 240 and look off season. I'd rather be 220 and look really good
and feel good,
and feel good, So I have no qualms about getting lighter or anything like that anymore. I'm kind of over it. But the feedback that you get from people, like, when I saw Dexter, like I told Dexter, man, you look like $1 million. And he goes, you look great. How much do you weigh now? Like he's giving me the same thing back, So it felt good to just know that, people appreciate that you've stayed in, you're doing something right.
Dang, man. You remember, well, you don't remember, you weren't there. Do you remember Dusty and I telling you about taking a little video tour of one of our listeners' gyms? He just commented, and Michael Devereaux, and he said, Scott, I just added what's this brand? What is it?
Jim Lico.
Jim Lico. Yeah. Seated chest press and a core strength seated row for the gym. Some incredible equipment, dude.
Yeah. The Jim Lico brand is, I can't remember what country they're out of. It's a European brand, I believe.
Okay.
And I've only used a few of their pieces.
Yeah.
They've got a real small footprint.
Oh, that's great for a home gym.
Yeah, I know Destination Dallas has a few pieces of Jim Lico, and there's a couple other gyms I've been to that had a few pieces. And I haven't tried many pieces, but I know they do have pretty small footprints, which seems to be an advantage for some people.
Okay.
So yeah, check them out.
I think, okay, hold on. Okay, this looks cool. I wonder if it's this one. This is a Jim Lico seated chest
Yeah,
press.
so that'd be like the pin loaded one, but they've also got all the plate loaded shit. You know what I mean?
I like a chest
Yeah,
press, like a plate loaded chest press that has that foot plate to kick it up.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
those are cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. We had another one. I don't know. I can't remember where it was. It was up a little ways, but he was saying that he's, I think, working on a PhD. But he asked us tips on being more effective studying.
Oh, damn. Well, I mean, I don't know
He's
about
not asking
studying.
the right people.
Well, I just know that when I'm into something that I'm actually trying to do, like, I guess last night I sat and played guitar for like almost 2 hours, and I was
Yeah.
watching a YouTube video. Oh, yeah, Jim Lico's from Sweden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, which would explain why Destination had some ahead of everybody else, because Gasp is from Sweden, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Gasp is from Sweden. Better Bodies, it's a Swedish company, but their headquarters is in Dallas now, where the gym is.
Yeah.
Destination, right? And they were like the first people I knew that had Jim Lico, so that would make sense.
Okay. Yeah.
So as far as studying goes, like, last night I had this almost 2 hour little guitar binge. I was watching YouTube videos and I'm kind of basically taking lessons online through
Yeah, of
YouTube.
course.
And you don't, like, get off your phone. Like, Emily went to bed. There's nothing turned on. No one's bothering me. It's just me. You have to have your focus zone. You can't be distracted. Don't have the TV on and fucking checking your phone and
Yeah.
get, that sort of thing. It was, I set that time aside for me, and I knew that I was going to be able to just focus. And I didn't look at my phone once the whole time. It was like 2 hours of just me watching these YouTube videos, going over them. I rewatched the same video 3 times and, worked along with it and tried to, pick up what the guy was teaching. And, so yeah, I mean, the only advice I have about studying is, just commit to the focus. You have to just set that time aside.
Yeah. And don't have distractions.
Yeah.
That's a big one. I find too, it helps. So I'm thinking of like when I'm doing work and so not as much studying as much as like focusing to sit at my desk. Cause I'll sit here for hours, a day, 10, 12 hours sometimes, maybe longer. And a big part of it is having things like blocked off, where I know right now I'm working on this and then I focus on that thing. And then when I'm done with that, I'll take a break. Like I'll get up after a couple hours, go walk around, get some food, let the dogs outside, walk them around the block even, but definitely don't just sit there. And I know Victoria does that too. She actually has like these blocks that she sets and they're 2 hour blocks and she takes a 15-minute rest or break to, reboot basically. And I think that's important. Like you can't just sit there for like 8 hours straight,
Yeah.
You become less productive, over time.
Yep.
Yeah. You got to see anything else over there on the side round? Anything you want to tackle? We have so many people commenting.
Yeah, no, it's just awesome to have this many watching the show.
It really is.
Damn. It's
Let's see if
I'm just looking here. I
Yeah, a
really
lot of
like some of
people-
this stuff.
Yeah, we had some people say like Anthony here says it's the first time he caught a live show from us. So
Oh
that's
yeah, we
awesome.
don't do them often, but I like them. The
They're
last
fun.
the last one we did was awesome. It wound up getting really good views too, which
Yeah.
is amazing.
I'm in. He said he took.
forgot he was.
He said he took a photo with you, and he got to meet you and Dusty. He said that in another comment. He took a photo, and he was supposed to tag me in it. So
Oh,
he got a
damn.
chance to meet you out there at the expo.
Yeah, that was, like I said, that was just crazy to meet people to watch a show, that far away. It
Body by
just-
Dale. D-Y-L.
Dill, Body by
Dill?
Dill. Must
He
be
says
Dylan.
He says he's coming out to train at West Coast Iron, visiting Vancouver. He lives 16 hours away, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, so I mean, 16 hours away would be, damn. I mean, where I'm from is only a 12-hour drive away, so he's even farther away than that. So he must
Wow.
be from or he may be from the States. He might be driving up from like Oregon,
Oh.
down where Justin Shire is or something like that. Who knows where he's coming from?
Where's Justin at?
He's in Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember the town, but he's in Oregon somewhere,
Yeah. Let's see
Sup,
here.
guys?
From the mic, let's see.
Did you see Hollingshead's uh, costume?
No, what was
Kratos?
it?
Oh, he was like God of War.
No kidding. How did he look?
It was
Was
it was
good?
awesome. Yeah, pull up his Instagram.
All right,
I
yeah.
want to talk about this for a sec, and I'll tell you why afterwards.
All right, give me just a minute here.
Yeah, pull up Hollingshead's Instagram.
There we go. Oh yeah, I see it's his profile picture now.
Yeah, so scroll down just a little bit. He's posted a shit ton in the last 2 days.
Okay.
You'll see the Kratos. See
Oh,
the
here we go.
Yeah. Well, this is just like a highlight video that he appears in from the Comic-Con. But look at all these costumes, you know. So Hollingshead is like perfect for this whole world. This whole like, see, look at
there he
that. Like,
was.
look at that. Like, imagine him walking around the expo like an actual fucking God of War.
Yeah, he's
You
a
know?
beast, man.
So scroll down one. There's another picture. If you just scroll down one more, there's him there. Looks like he's just meeting some fans. Like, look at the line around him.
Oh
Everyone
yeah,
taking photos. You know, like,
that's incredible.
you know,
Look at his legs.
yeah. So those people, I love this. I love this. So those people are used to seeing muscle costumes
Yeah,
and muscle suits,
right.
and people who've put an enormous amount of work into their costume and their makeup. But then this comes along. Fucking
Yeah.
Hollingshead walks in at what, 285 pounds, like shredded,
Right.
actually fucking like as big as the video game character, looking exactly like he should.
It's amazing.
With like, I mean, that's a world-class costume. That looks like a very professional job. He's obviously had somebody do his makeup for him and everything. His whole body's covered.
Right.
That he must just be like an incredible sight to that crowd, because that's not the bodybuilding crowd.
No.
You know, look
no.
at his calves. His calves just fucking exploding out of those boots.
Yeah.
And so I just love that. He must stand out there as, like, you know, one of the best possible costumes.
Let's see if he's got any on his stories here. Let's see. We know he does gaming. Hold on.
He might have like a highlight. Who knows? If you look at his highlights,
Oh,
he might
yeah.
have one.
Like, yeah, right.
You know? So I talked to Hollingshead. We left each other a bunch of voice messages.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were Instagramming voice notes back and forth.
Right.
And I was just telling him, I was like, fuck, dude, you know, fucking, he said he's got there's a new God of War video game being launched like next weekend.
Okay.
And he got an invite. There's this giant store downtown London.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like some video game store that's really popular, and they're doing this big launch.
Okay.
And so they've invited James to come down dressed as Kratos. I think it's Kratos
Okay.
is the name of the character. Forgive me for you nerds out there that Ron doesn't know the name of the character. But he got invited down to resume that. He's going to dress up again, get the full makeup, and it's a midnight launch. You know, those people that go like,
they're going to be standing in line. You know?
That sort of shit. So he's going to go down and fucking help launch the video game. So I don't know what they're paying him or whatever, but you know, he said, fuck it. You know, you only live once. Let's get the exposure.
That's a blast, man. You know?
Well, just think of how many guys getting ready for the Olympia would be like, oh, I'm dieting.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like, whatever. Fucking go down there. Get some exposure. Freak people out. It'd be awesome.
There's a guy I know here. They actually made a documentary called Quest of the Muscle Nerd. And it was a documentary about two guys that were both weightlifting, and they wanted to put costumes together to do like this. I can't remember the term he used, if it was like fit cos or, you know, something like that. But anyway, though, they had like this big fitness cosplay thing that they did in Georgia at one of the cons. And they turned it into a legit contest where you would be judged. You'd get on stage and you do like some sort of little routine, like swing your axe around or whatever, you know, and you would be judged on both your costume and your physique together. And he's been getting some you know, interest in that. So people are doing that now here. They'd love James.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
He's perfect for that shit, you know?
Yeah, he is. So
I like that stuff. I like seeing the guys get out and reach the mainstream somehow.
Yes. Yes.
And I like seeing, you know, fuck, how many years have we been doing this? I like seeing bodybuilders having fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
like really, like I don't like how many videos about your chicken can we watch? And
Yeah.
how
As
many
much as we
videos?
love
So
Jay, as much as and as awesome as Jay is, like during his pro career, he was not fun isn't a word I would use to describe his life at the time.
so that's why that's why I actually think Jay Cutler is super fun to watch now. Because he's
Oh
got his
yeah,
dogs, his fucking dogs. He's holding his puppy. He's holding his little dogs, talking about his, like it's just so funny to see like the real Jay. Because I mean, we were getting the real Jay before. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
That was always the
absolutely.
real Jay. That was Jay. That's why he was the champ.
Yeah,
But we see pictures of him on the longboard now. Going out for like a neighborhood surf. You
yeah,
know, and I get to see the people message me about seeing me, do my stuff. They think it's just like really great to see someone having fun, and so seeing James embrace this Comic-Con world because he loves the games. I
yeah.
almost envious. I'm a little bit envious of some of the guys that really love the gaming world because like gaming is just something I never really made time for. But I always thought like those games are awesome,
Yeah.
but they're intimidatingly good. Like I feel like I'm too removed from gaming now to fucking relearn how to use all my fingers. I
It's
don't
a
know.
whole other world too, man. Like
Yeah.
those people are so good. I got into a first person shooter game for a while, and I stopped a couple of years ago, and I got really good at it for a little bit. But
Right.
man, just like I'd noticed if I took like a week off or something, then my skill level would go down on it. And it's such a time suck. Like, you can only do so many things in life. You got your bike, you got the gym, you got your
Yeah.
guitar,
I
you got your
know.
relationship. It's like any more than that, you'd have to do less of something.
So here's a topic that we talked about earlier. We
Okay.
talked about, remember when we talked about Andrew Huberman and the dopamine
Oh yeah, yeah.
and how he
We
was
talked
saying that,
about that at Swiss too. I thought of you because there's a bunch of good stuff there about dopamine.
okay. So one of the things that Huberman says is we have to be cognizant. Like, again, he's not trying to preach too much about like, not enjoying the small things in life,
Sure.
but he's just saying, be aware when you start to prioritize things that easily give you the dopamine hit without any work.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's a very demotivating thing. You like if you're getting dopamine without having to work for it, then the motivation to do the work gets affected.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's the root of a lot of addiction. And
Yeah.
not just drugs, but like, bad habits and getting into ruts and stuff because you're getting your dopamine just easily.
Right.
And so so and again, like I don't have to like change my life anything. I don't have any like terrible dopamine habits, but it sure has made me more aware of like the dopamine reward. Like I rode my bike yesterday morning. I went out, made myself do an hour on the bike because I'd been away and stuff. And it was, it actually was great. I thought I'm going to be rusty because it's been like a full week. It was a fucking surprise. I did surprisingly well.
That's cool.
And I felt so great. Like it was, noon and I was heading back home and I was like, man, I feel like $1,000,000.
Yeah.
And I thought that's exactly what Huberman's talking about. I went and I worked and put effort in for that dopamine.
Yeah.
And the reward was a much larger, more satisfying amount of dopamine than if you do something like quick hitter for dopamine,
Yeah. Yeah. That
And
makes sense.
so yeah, just sort of just being more aware of where you're getting your positive rewards from,
Yeah.
because we're all just like Pavlov's dog,
Absolutely.
he hears a sound, it salivates, like we're all just like programmed, we get in and that's what habits are. People don't even realize they're bad habits,
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
realize.
I talked with Dr. Mike Miltek. He was out there. Victoria works with him. He spoke about overtraining, and it kind of related in a way because he was talking about that. Actually, I have a couple notes here. It'd be easier for me to look at them, but he was talking about. Okay, so we've all seen and we've been there. I mean, I know I've been there where we are training more than we should. And, we get a lot of satisfaction from training. Dude, you're a gym owner. You see people in the gym, and this is, no disrespect to people, but people who've been going to the gym literally every day for years and that they're not changing. And I think that we get kind of like just hooked on the idea of going to the gym and training, and we aren't really looking at the progress. And so like the gym kind of becomes the end result, not the progress. And to tell sometimes people like, hey, you got to, if you want to grow, you're going to have to take at least 2 days off a week. And that idea can be kind of, troublesome. Anyway, he was talking about addiction to training, and he said we stop finding pleasure in other things, that our dopamine release only happens when we train. And I know I've been there where I'm like, oh man, I feel my best when I train. I only feel, and then you get to that point where you're like, I only feel good when I train. Like life is a drag. You got to get through that other shit you're doing. And then you get in the gym and you're like, fuck yeah, this is exactly what I needed. I feel so much better now, it can be a positive thing. But then from there, we start to dissociate. And you think about it, man, when you get to that phase, it's like, then you stop. That's at that point where we start risking injury. Get this, because he says we stop feeling pain. Okay. Think about like when you're just numb through your day, you're like, I don't care. I just want to get out of this job. I just want to get to the gym and lift. I'm going to be squatting today. It's going to be the best workout ever. We stop really connecting to our bodies. We don't have as much of a connection on like, that's how we end up getting hurt. And then he says from there, we start experiencing like a constriction of our personalities, that like, I'm nothing without my sport. You tell certain people like, hey, you're going to have to take 2 days off of training per week. And then they're like, well, what am I going to do? I don't have anything else to do. But it all goes back to that addiction to training, which I thought that was really interesting, man.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I probably had I think all bodybuilders at a high level of competition have a certain degree of addiction to their process.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's everything to them, like, and I also think too, like, I know a lot of people who've struggled with addiction and, alcohol and stuff.
Yeah.
And, I noticed that almost always they want to train every day. Right.
Yeah.
Because it's there, obviously there'd be some anxiety about what if I don't train? Am I gonna, fall into a bad day? If I don't get my training dopamine, am I gonna fall into a bad rut where I maybe try to, get it from something else?
Yeah.
So there's, I think, an element to that too. But yeah, I mean, we all have addictive personalities. Anyone who's like been bodybuilding like hardcore and competing, I think there's a bit of addictive personality in all of us. So
yeah,
I sort of feel a little bit lucky that, I was able to, recognize, not maybe understand it, but be at least aware enough that, that was a thing that existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now just reading more about it and getting more science about it, it's really fascinating to me. Like, this Huberman guy has been really, really, I don't want to say helpful, because like I said, when he's talking about a lot of these really bad ruts that people get into, I'm like, okay, well, that's, at least I'm not thick. I know it's not me, but
like I can look at parts of my life and be like, okay, yeah, I understand where he's coming from with this
totally,
stuff. Yeah.
Totally. And also as a coach, right? Because now you're like, oh, this is my one client.
Right.
This is him totally. This is why he does this all the time and doesn't take his days off.
Yeah.
And doesn't listen to me. And this is why he keeps doing extra cardio.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is why he keeps cutting carbs, because he's like being like I'm working. Look at the work I'm doing,
Yeah.
But it's just not, how it actually works.
Where you get a good dopamine hit is in contest prep. Every time you check in, you see progress, and then you hit the off season and things don't really, you don't see that week to week dramatic change. Oh my gosh, there's these lines in my back. There's these lines in my glutes. Oh my gosh, look at the way this is, my abs are coming in or whatever. You don't get that same kind of dopamine hit, 15 weeks into your push and bulk,
Yeah. So that's one of the things when I was watching Huberman talk on this one video, I thought, man, this is exactly why people don't want to stick to the plan, because they're seeking.
Yeah.
Like I saw a funny meme the other day about, if the Instagram influencer trainer people actually posted the real workouts they built their physique with, all we would see is the same shirt, different day.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So you get this like advanced physique who's got all these fancy new things that they're teaching on their Instagram, and they didn't actually build their physique with any of them.
No.
Their physique was built with 20 years of leg pressing, hack squatting, squatting with a barbell,
Yeah.
fucking
Barbell
curls, like
rows. Yeah.
all the same shit. Hammer incline, the fanciest chest machine their gym had for the first 15 years.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And now they're posting all this other stuff, and it's a lot of content. And then another slide on that same post was client, I think I need to do more of this. Trainer, it's only been a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Client, hey, this new exercise looks really good. Trainer, again, it's only been a week. Like that whole pursuit of like, there's got to be more reward.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, there's not. Like, you got to understand, it's going to be a lot of the same shirt or same shit, different shirt.
Yeah.
It's
a good way of putting it.
Yeah. So, and I think that's part of it too. You get that dopamine release from something novel too, right?
Yeah.
Just doing something novel. It gives you like we did something new today. Like when you go to even like little things, like going to a new restaurant and having a good meal.
Yeah.
Is a bit of a dopamine release. And you're like, like a little bit of adventure that paid off,
Right.
And so you can, it's being aware of this stuff has just really been interesting to me. And I just think that there's a lot to help us understand why we behave the way we behave and the decisions we make and the choices we make. It's I'm looking back on certain stages in my life and going, that was just that was textbook this.
A lot of dopamine happening back then.
Yeah. That was definitely, didn't even aware of what I was doing, So
yeah. And it's like, it's mindfulness, is kind of what you're talking about, because you're able to, instead of reacting out of emotion, you're able to step back and recognize, oh yeah, that does make me feel really good, but it's making me feel good because of this, it's not because otherwise, like I can say as a kid, and even this is me before recovery, was that I would just react out of my gut feeling, whatever drew me toward it. That's what I was going to go toward. And I didn't necessarily think about the ramifications of it. I just was thinking about like with emotion really, versus being able to step back and be able to break those things apart. I think that was the biggest tool that I learned to like help me grow up, basically.
Yeah. It's when you think about dopamine as your motivation chemical.
Yes.
It starts to make you go, oh shit. I see why it's bad to like constantly consume junk dopamine.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it demotivates you to do the work on the things that you would actually get a huge reward from, You
get the rush from buying that item. I remember, so when I did get into recovery.
Yeah, online shopping.
Yeah. There was this rug that was a beautiful rug, and it was like $400. And I couldn't really afford to buy a $400 rug at the time. And dude, I wanted it so bad. I was like, I want this rug. And I didn't buy it for that sole purpose, because I was like, I know that I'm going to spend $400 on this rug, and it's not going to, like, it got to the point, man, where I was like, oh, just the living room would look so nice with the rug, and it's just exactly the rug that I want. I had it all built up in my head, right? But had I gotten the rug, like 2 months later, I would have been like, fuck, it's getting dirty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then what else am I going to buy after that?
Yeah. I know what you mean. So yeah, it's sort of my new little background.
It's good.
You always have things that you're kind of aware of running in the background,
Yeah. Was there anything you've picked out that you're like, I wonder if this is something I should curtail, like even like, getting coffee or something small?
Yeah. So it made me aware of a bad habit that it wasn't a habit yet, but I was noticing it.
Okay.
You know how Instagram feeds you what you click on?
Yes.
So I had sort of like, I think I was sitting in an airport or something, and you get clicking on a certain type of video. And I was clicking on videos of fights.
Okay.
Like, people getting in fights at concerts and people getting in fights at the mall.
Hey, you just went down a fight rabbit hole.
Fight rabbit hole. And you click on like a fight at the mall.
Yeah.
You see some guy get knocked out at the mall. And then of course the next 10 reels it presents to you are two chicks fighting at a fucking bar. And then the next thing there's a girl slapping another girl out in a parking lot. And
Yeah.
then you're watching two guys fucking fisticuffs in the street,
Right.
and you're watching all these like fight videos and you're like, yeah, fucking get them. Yeah, go.
Yeah.
And I must have watched, like, over the course of like a month, I must have watched a couple hundred fight videos that Instagram put in my face.
It's just like all you were getting anymore.
Yeah. And then when I remember that, and that was like right before I watched this Huberman video. And when I watched him, I was like, oh my God, this is like poison for my brain.
Yeah.
Like I'm putting like poison in my brain. Like the last thing I want is to feel an emotional reward from watching fucking losers fight in the mall.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Why would I waste my time on that? So I started like
Trying to purge it out. Yeah. Just don't click on that.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't click on that anymore. That's like junk food, because the whole thing, like, what, our diet is more than what we eat, right? That whole sort of thing was like, I was like, there we go again. That's exactly what he was talking about. Because you know how excited you get when you watch 10 fight videos in a row? Your heart rate goes up. I'd find myself like watching, I'm sitting in the airport watching fight videos, and I'm like, I'm tense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's not.
There's a physiological response.
Yeah.
And you're like, the last thing I want to do is be fucking why am I doing this? This
putting
is
yourself
terrible.
in that sympathetic nervous system, like, fight or flight mechanism. Yeah. You're triggering that. You literally are triggering that. And that's the opposite of like de-stressing,
And then you get on the plane and you wonder why you can't fall asleep.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
First 2 hours of your flight, you're like, fuck, I was so tired before this flight, and now I'm wide awake. Well, yeah, you just flooded your system with fucking rush, adrenaline, and so just trying to be aware of that stuff. And I think a lot of people don't think about any of that.
No, they just follow it, they just keep clicking.
Consume. Yeah, keep clicking, keep consuming, and wonder why their anxiety levels are fucking crazy, and they're all stressed out, and they get home and their partner says one thing to them and they shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And so anyways, that's my little message.
Dave
No
Palumbo,
fight videos.
Jihan comment. I wasn't looking at the comments. He says, Dave Palumbo says, anything that gives you results is in a way addictive, which I guess I could see that.
Hey, that's why one of my favorite things of all time is you got to choose your addictions wisely.
Yeah.
Because we're all going to have something, I'm trying to get addicted to guitar lessons right now, I guess.
It sounds like it's working. Working.
It's hard, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I gotta, like, my brain is not wanting to listen to this guy right now.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I took a lesson from somebody, or like sat and listened to somebody talk about, what's technically pretty boring.
Yeah.
But what I focus on is the reward at the end. Like, if I learn what this guy is saying, if I can absorb some knowledge from him, it's going to make me better. Yep. And then I'll feel the reward will come.
They say that that's what keeps our minds young too. That's what literally fights off dementia.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, all the stuff they say about learning a new language.
Yes.
How good that is for your brain.
Yeah.
And playing an instrument counts.
I've heard of that as the language. It's right up there with it.
Learning music is another language. So, and I'm sort of thinking like, I can kill two birds with one stone here. I can get much better at guitar, which is like a lifelong dream that I never really pursued. Like I said, I've been a riff hack for 30 years.
Right.
Like, you want to hear Enter Sandman? Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know why.
Yeah. Just a bunch of power chords, where to put your fingers.
I just memorized it.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why those notes relate to one another. I don't know what key it's in. I don't know what scale I'm on. I don't know, and I mean, some guys are talented enough that they never ever learn music, like Slash, for example.
Right.
He doesn't know he says famously, I don't know a single thing about the guitar.
That's crazy. There's some people like that. My friend VJ.
It's all here in his ear.
VJ will hear a song and he literally can play it afterward.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's odd, man. That's odd that you can do that.
I think as like an arrogant young kid, you're like, well, Slash never took lessons. I'm just
right.
But you're like, yeah, that's where talent separates him.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
right? Like if you don't have the talent, you need the knowledge. It's just like bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Like the less talent you have, the more knowledge you need. And I realize now that I wasted so many decades of guitar playing by thinking I could just learn songs.
Yeah.
And and then what happens is you only have so much room in your brain. Like half the riffs I knew, like I used to know like 20 Metallica songs.
Right.
I don't remember hardly any of them now.
No kidding.
Because I didn't tie them to any knowledge of why they were the way they were.
Yeah. And you made room for other things,
Yeah, got other stuff I need, it's important in there.
You know what I'm seriously contemplating is I wanted to take a class somewhere where I actually go to a classroom. And one of the things I've been interested in is understanding like how to help people physically. Like, so I've done like a CPR class before, but then I looked and the Red Cross offers like a basic life support class. And then they offer like an advanced life support class. I kind of am thinking I'd like to me, I would love to learn those skills. Like if something bad happened to somebody that I loved or to myself even, how can you, because like if something bad happened, what do? I can call 911 at this point, put a tourniquet on it, but that's it, So I don't know. I thought it'd be fun too. Just something I probably never would need to use, but it would be, I think, interesting maybe if it was like once a week for a few hours, I could go to a classroom and learn something like that.
Any knowledge that makes you feel more useful, or empowered is great to add.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll keep you posted on that.
Thanks, buddy. Well, we're at our time limit. I got a doctor's appointment. I know you've got shit you got to do.
Yes, I'm still trying to catch up and catch up from the weekend, man. It was a long weekend, as you had too. Yours is longer, I think.
No. Okay, so it's good to be back. Thanks for the live show. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Remember, Mutant sponsors the show. They're fantastic to us. Please support them. Go on IamMutant.com. You can order anything you want off the website. You can use Dusty's code, Dusty20, but he's not here today, so use my code, BigRon20. It'd be much appreciated. And again, all the support for the show, everybody that came and said hi at the Expo and stuff. We love you guys. Thanks for listening to us talk about dopamine and nonsense. And next year, I got to come to Swiss with you, buddy.
That'd be awesome, man. I'll keep you posted when it's coming around again. This has been great. Thank you guys, everybody, for chiming in, everything. We appreciate you guys. Appreciate the hell out of you.
We'll get the story about the mahogany dilemma from Dusty next show.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
And remember, everybody, it's just bodybuilding.